Hi everyone.
Uh,
Welcome to Cowan's mini-series for 2021, the Series of Good. So my name is Matthieu, and I'm the Senior Strategist and Account Manager here in the Singapore office. We're a design agency headquartered in Australia with offices in Singapore, China, Vietnam, and London. And the Series of Good will take me and you on a journey to explore different topics across industries, celebrating creativity and individuals who challenge the status quo. And we really want this to be a great learning experience for us and whoever is watching as well. And for the first half of the year, we will be focusing on the change is good, highlighting positive change around the world. And to kick off, our first topic is branding for the conscious consumer. And I'm really excited to have with me Matthieu, founder and director of Scéona, a sustainable jewelry brand. Welcome, Matthieu.
hi everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining me today and being my first guest. Please tell us about yourself and your company.
Sure. So I am Matthieu. I'm French, as you can recognize my great English accent. I'm based in Bali full time now. And we started Scéona last year when I did my MBA at INSEAD. It's a sustainable fine jewelry brand. The main idea was to try to show that creating fine jewelry in a responsible way is possible. So we try to take into account the design and the supply chain at the very beginning of the creation process to be as sustainable as possible. So we use, for instance, only recycled gold and lab-grown diamonds to avoid mining. We plant trees to offset our carbon footprint. We don't use plastic and toxic chemicals. That's what we are trying to do at Scéona.
So what made you make the push to start this company, and why this approach?
So I think freedom was a big thing for me. I didn't want to go back to the corporate world after my MBA at INSEAD. I worked in the hospitality industry before. It's quite. I was managing hotels, quite tough, long hours. And running a business, it's also long hours, but at least you are your own boss. So that was the main, for me, the main reason. And also to do something that is aligned with our values. So with Scéona, we wanted to create something that has a positive impact on the environment, truly believe in sustainability. My big passion is surfing. That's why I live in Bali. And, in Bali during the winter, the beach are full of plastic because of the pollution, and that's something that really touches me. And I wanted to create a business that will be part of a change and try to educate people in sustainability and showing that producing in a more responsible way is possible. So that's what we are trying to do at Scéona.
That's great. And when we first met INSEAD to discuss this business idea, we spoke about putting ourselves in the customer's shoes and also about customer personas. So now, how would you define what a conscious consumer is now, and who is your target customer?
I think conscious consumer, I like the the idea of voting with your wallet. It's someone that really understands that what you buy, what you purchase, has an impact on the society. If you decide to buy something that is sustainable, for instance, you send a message that you want something more sustainable, and that brands have to take that vote into account. And today, the conscious consumer, I think they understand that they cannot be 100% sustainable. We are not going to change the way we live, right? But it's someone who is willing to take maybe small steps toward more, protection of the environment, protection of the workers in developing countries, to be more ethical, trying to understand what the big brands are doing, or even the small brands, but usually the big brands. And I think that's what a conscious consumer is. And if we talk about the consumer persona, our consumers it's quite a small niche market, especially in the sustainable jewelry. It's quite new, but definitely someone who wants to wear something that is still beautiful, because we will talk about the design later, but the beauty is really important in fashion luxury, but also that wants to know that what you're wearing didn't impact badly people or the environment. Because for instance, if you take jewelry, I don't know if you watch the movie The Blood Diamonds with Leonardo DiCaprio. So sometimes when you buy, for instance, diamonds, there is a huge lack of transparency. You don't know how people were treated to mine diamonds. So that kind of stuff, I think people who are buying from us, they want to make sure that what they are wearing didn't impact badly the environment or the people. So that's the people we try to target.
I see. And that was a nice segue to my next question. How does branding and design help you engage with your customer better?
The branding and design is very important, especially in the luxury industry, because we sell fine jewelry starting at 300 HDD to 10,000 HDD. So obviously design is very important. Unfortunately, sustainability is not the main decision, when you want to buy something. So people, because you won't buy something that makes you look ugly, right? So you need a good design. It's like when you buy a pair of shoes, or when you buy a t-shirt. You want a very nice design, great branding, and then if it's sustainable, that's the cherry on the cake. But at the beginning, design is really, really important. So we really put a lot of effort on that. Our inspiration are around minimalist. So very small and subtle jewelry that you can wear every day. And branding as well is very important, especially for young brands like Scéona, because brand creates trust. So if you don't know Scéona, you will go on the website, and if the website doesn't look really appealing and the information is not clear, you will be like, oh, that looks like a dodgy business. So all the branding elements, we put a lot of effort and a lot of time to decide on the fonts, on the logo, on the colors, everything. Because if you don't have a nice brand today, you just cannot exist. Because on social media, the level now of branding is so big. The quality of what people are doing now with just an iPhone, Even my little sister, she's 20 years old, and she does amazing stuff, video editing with her laptop and with her phone. So you need, as a company, as a brand, to put your standards are really, really high, because people are expecting, especially millennials, really high quality. So that's a huge challenge for small brands without a lot of money. But that's branding and design are so much. I should not say that, but are much important than the sustainability part, I would say, in the marketing process.
Right. And looking at your website and just looking at the comps that you have, I really like that you have so much different content to engage with your customers, such as educating them about the industry, your business, and also other people from other businesses that are doing something quite positive. Tell us about that whole process and what else do you have in the pipeline?
So as I mentioned, it's the huge challenge, because today you have so many social media channels. So you have Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. So you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be everywhere. So we decided to focus on Instagram, because we believe that for fashion and jewelry, it's the best social media channel right now. So we tried everything: infographics and videos, photos. We were talking about branding before, and I think it's really important that branding is really at the core of all the content that you create, to make sure that your Instagram account looks like your Facebook account, that looks like your website, that looks like even the wording used and the communication. It's a huge work, and I think now I believe the future is in video, very short videos, maybe 20-30 seconds. You can see now in Facebook And Instagram, they posted a few articles showing the engagement. It's much higher when you create videos. So that's what we are trying to do, especially focusing on more the storytelling part. Because for small brands, I think what people are looking for is to know the people behind the brands. Because if you take Tiffany's, for instance, there are so many employees. But Scéona, we are only 3. So we can really tell our story and why we are different. And so that's our target. But we realize that it's so time consuming. At the beginning, I thought, okay, I'm just taking my phone and taking a video of myself and I post it. But no, because of the branding, you cannot do that. You have to edit it. And so it takes a lot of time. Yeah, it's very challenging.
It is. I think it lends to the authenticity of your brand with you and the family, and like you mentioned, the storytelling as well. But definitely time-consuming process and takes a lot of thought behind it, even though it's a 15-second or 13-second video only.
Exactly, it's not only 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's only 15 seconds, no way. And okay, so my next question is about you. So being from France, having worked in Singapore and now living and working in Bali, what are some of the similarities and differences that you see with the consumers and sustainability in the different regions?
I think I do not take a lot of risk saying that the European market is more mature in terms of sustainability than the Asian market. I think people in Europe are more aware of what we can do in terms of sustainability and protection of the environment. I think it's related as well to the culture. So I think in Asia, the culture is more around the community. So as what you want to buy something that so you can be accepted in your community. I like the example of the Louis Vuitton bag in Japan. So all the secretaries, they all buy their Louis Vuitton bag with their first salary, just to be like the others. And in Europe, it's more luxury now. In Europe, it's more subtle. It's more about sustainability. It's not showing off, but saying like, hey, have you seen my ring? Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and it's sustainable, and it helps people to live with decent wages in third world countries, etc., etc. I think it has more value now in Europe, so that's why people consume more sustainable products, because the sustainable value it's more important now in Europe. But I think Asia is catching up very quickly. In Singapore, even in China as well, they start to implement a lot of innovation to be more sustainable. Like in Singapore, they just voted plant-based meat to reduce the meat import and consumption. And in China, I think they became the first producer of green energy in the world, like the solar panels. So I think the mindset is growing in Asia, which is good.
That's great. I think it's also growing at scale as compared to before.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So next question is about us being completely honest. How conscious are we really? Do you believe that the conscious consumer is already mainstream?
I think we can do better, for sure, especially in Asia. Well, we can do better in Europe as well. And I'm not even talking about the US and their Trump. But I think we are getting there. I think what is important is that we take small steps toward a more sustainable future. It doesn't make sense to believe that we will go back to a stone age. We are so used to now travel everywhere, to order food, to the life, simple stuff that makes your life easier, right? So I think the plan is not to blame people of living this life, but it's more to try to show that producing in a better way is possible. Maybe instead of buying 10 t-shirts at H&M, you buy 1 or 2 good t-shirts with a sustainable brand. I think it's the way also we consume and we live our life. Europe I think they start to become a bit more, minimalist as well. It's also the way we see ourselves as a society. So do we want like to grow, or do we want to grow a bit more, slowly, but in a better way for the future generation? And I see a lot of good stuff. I think it's bad to blame people and to be negative. I think one small step toward more sustainability is good and should be encouraged. And that's what we are trying to do at Scéona as well. Even if you don't buy our products, we just want also to tell people that another way of producing and buying is possible. And then, you make your own choice. Everyone, you do whatever you want at the end of the day. But you cannot change people. It's crazy to think that you can change people. So people change by themselves. So if you want a more sustainable future of society, you have to give all the information to people and show them that something different is possible, and then hoping that they will just decide to change.
Right. And you alluded to this just now, but how does what you do matter to design agencies like Cowan?
I think you can have a huge impact, because I was talking about the design process, because the design is really at the beginning of, if we take the production process in fashion or jewelry, design is at the really, really beginning. Which materials are we going to use? Where are we going to produce? How are we going to ship our products? So if at the really beginning of the process, you involve the purchase managers and the sales and marketing, the CSR guy, and as a design agency or design executive, you take into account sustainability at the beginning of the process. I think it can have a huge impact at the end, because Scéona, we don't produce a lot, but if you take, let's take H&M for instance, they will sell 1 million pieces of a new collection. So if the design guys at the beginning of the design of this new collection, they're like, hey, why don't we use that kind of fabric or material, because it's a little bit more sustainable, we don't use that much water to produce it, for instance. And then they ask the purchase guy to do some research, and then they find the right fabrics at the right price. Then you multiply the impact by 1 million pieces. So the design that's the impact that design can have, because you cannot change, once the 1 million t-shirts are produced, you cannot change it, because there are so many stakeholders involved. The supply chain is so complex. But if you start at the really beginning, when you didn't start doing anything, then that's where you can have and I think it reminds me of one class at INSEAD. I think it was the product and development class, and we talked about that, about the huge impact that design can have in these companies, because a small step, a small change in the design process then can have a huge impact on million and million and million of products sold. So right. You guys have a huge impact. No pressure.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all. Hashtag exponential change. Okay, now back to you. So tell me, where are you now in your journey and what's next?
So we celebrate our first year anniversary. Yeah, we are still here. We are still here. So next year we launch new products, new collection, also new engagement rings collection, because we received a lot of demand requests for that. We will push on the bespoke as well, the custom jewelry. For engagement rings, it works quite well. And I think we'll try to enter in Europe with a small office in France. And then, the young startup, just, trying to survive one more year because the cash flow is the main challenge when you have a startup. And but we are supported by family, friends, and some angels. But especially when you start a brand, it can be very challenging, because you need to spend in marketing. It takes time to create awareness. With jewelry, the inventory is quite expensive to hold the inventory. So the cash burns quick. So that's our challenges for next year. But we knew the challenges before starting, so we embraced the challenge.
That's a great attitude to have. And final question. So for those who have a shorter attention span, and for us to round up this conversation, what are 3 things we should take away from today?
Okay, so I think the first one, especially for Cowan, is that design can have a huge impact, good or bad, obviously, on the final products and on the impact on the environment. I think it's linked to my second point to say that we will not change in the sustainable space by a big revolution. It's everyone has his or her part to play in that game, and small steps can be in designing the new product and trying to convince the executive to be a bit more sustainable, or it's when you go to your local market and buy local products and not tomatoes from Spain or from the US, buying a sustainable T-shirt, or just small steps, small changes, and that's how we will get there to a more sustainable and conscious society. And I think my third and last point will be entrepreneurship is a great journey. Don't be scared about the cash flow challenges. I think it's great to try it. You learn a lot along the way. I won't lie, it can be a bit stressful sometimes, especially at the beginning when you cannot pay yourself. But it's a great adventure, great freedom, and I think that's something. If you have a good idea, just go for it and just try. I think that's good. Don't hesitate.
Thank you, Matthieu. That was amazing. I found that very honest, very inspiring as well, and insightful. So thanks for your time today. Thanks for joining me. And this was the first episode of our series of Good, Branding for the Conscious Consumer. Please follow us on our LinkedIn page to find out more about the rest of the series. Thank you. Thanks, Matthieu.
Bye.
Bye.